All right, here we go. Good morning. Welcome. I'd like to welcome those of you that are here and those of you that are with us on the internet. I'm Pastor Jerry Dewitt. This is Good News Center Global in Houston, Texas. It is Sunday morning, 11 a.m. and our time changed last week and it caught me this week, this year. And normally it doesn't catch me, but I forgot completely about it. So I don't know what time it is where you are, but it is 11 a.m. now, Houston, Texas time, and we're glad you're here with us. So as I do every week, please share the page, like the page, follow us on Facebook. If you have friends or family and they'd be blessed by the messages, they'd like to watch the messages with us, then share Facebook with them. If they don't have Facebook, you can find us on YouTube at Jerry Dewitt Ministries on YouTube. So just go to YouTube, search Jerry Dewitt Ministries, and you can I forget what you can like the page somehow, and it will show up. It'll give you a message every time we have a new recording come out. So I'm not exactly sure how to do that. I'm not that computer literate. I'm fairly computer literate, but it only goes so far. And so like the page on Facebook and YouTube. If you have prayer requests, you can send them to us at Facebook, on Facebook, or prayer@goodnewscenter.org. And center is spelled C-E-N-T-E-R, the American way, not the British way. So prayer@goodnewscenter.org. Send us your prayer requests. We'll put you in, start praying for you and believing the Lord with you for your situation, whatever that situation may be. So if you have questions or comments, sorry, I have something in my eye. If you have questions or comments, you can send them to us at the same place or on Facebook. We just ask you keep them nice. If you're out there and you just want to say hi, give us a thumbs up or down or whatever you do, a smiley face, just to say hi that we know you're out there. And so also, I have to go through all these things in my head every week. Also, check out our website at jerry.church. And you'll see my website and about, pictures of Roanne and I and some of the places we've been. We're doing some work in our house next couple of weeks. So I'm about to go through a box of pictures. So we may be adding a whole bunch more pictures from, years ago. And so I'm just thinking about that because we're having just some work that we're doing. Had to clean out a closet, and I found a large box of pictures and stuff. So we're going to have to go through that box, and there may be a lot of ministry pictures in there. So my wife just gave me a look because she didn't know that yet. I just sprung it on her. And so there's a lot of stuff there. I have a library there, a store if you'd like to purchase. I've got messages upon messages upon messages, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of teaching on different topics and different series and going through books of the Bible, and some of Virgil's stuff is there. So, and I have my study notes from the whole books that I've done, and so you can purchase all of that. It's all there. And if you'd like to help us financially, there's a place to give. And we live by faith. The Lord blesses us. He takes care of us. We just make it available to you that if you want to help, it's right there to help. It's, you just click on the button and you can, it'll come to us. So if you want to help, that's the place to do it. Amen. Lastly, like I said, we're having some work done on our house the next couple of weeks. So we will be off. I will be off the next couple of weeks. We won't be able to get in here, and there's just stuff going on that we'll have to be out of the house for a few days. So we're taking the next couple of weeks off, and so we'll pick up. We'll probably be off for 2 weeks, and then pick up the week after that. And unless, I think that's around Thanksgiving. For Americans, it's Thanksgiving. That around that time. So we'll find out, but I'll be off for 2 weeks. We good? Okay. I think that's everything. All right, let's turn to the book of Philippians. We'll continue in Philippians chapter 2. This time we're starting in verse 25. Last time we finished in verse 24, and we were talking about Timothy, and we went through some of the things of Timothy, and now we pick up in verse 25. And so it says, Philippians 2:25, it says, "Yet I supposed it necessary." Well, let me back up one. "But I trust in the Lord that I also myself shall come shortly." He was sending Timothy, and he wants to come. He's trusting the Lord that he'll get to come too. He said, "Yet I suppose it necessary to send you Epaphroditus, my brother and companion in labor and fellow soldier, but your messenger, and he that ministered to my wants." So what's he saying there? He said, "Yet he wants to come, but yet I suppose it necessary to send you to Epaphroditus." I supposed it necessary. Supposed here means it doesn't contain a doubt. And he's referring to a decision arrived at after weighing the facts in a case. When he supposes something, he's looked at the facts from every direction. He's looked at everything and weighed the facts and weighed the good against the bad. And do I need this? And it's for them, it's for me. What's the best thing to do? He looks at all the issues and he gets rid of all doubt. So the question here is, when we make decisions, do we do it that way? Do we weigh the good and the bad? Do we look at the pros and the cons? Or are we just, and we come to a place that I have no doubt this is the decision to make. That I've prayed, I believe God, I've heard the voice of God, or I have wisdom and knowledge and understanding in a situation. I know the best thing to do. I know the way to go. This is what I'm doing. And we get all doubt out of our minds. What's the killer in decision making? Working out of decision making. What's the killer? Doubt. Because I made a decision, and by God, this is what I'm doing. Bless the Lord, I've heard from the Lord, and I'm going forward, and this is what I'm doing. And 3 days down the road, you hit a little bit of a speed bump. You hit a little bit of a rock in the road, and it's like, am I doing the right thing? Am I supposed to go down this road? Is this the right way to go? Is this the right thing to do? Am I making a mistake? Did God really say? How many have ever heard, did God really say? Where does that start?
In the garden.
Literally, the oldest argument in the book. Literally, it starts in the book of Genesis. Did God really say? That's what he told Eve. Did God really say this? And what happened? Sin. Sin came into the world. Did God really say? Is what? Precursor to sin. He's trying to get you out of the will of God. And anything outside of the will of God is what? Sin. That which is not of faith is sin. So what's the devil trying to do? Inject doubt into the situation. Inject doubt into your decisions. Inject doubt into your plans. And he tries it with everybody. And I just try, when I make decisions and I make plans, all doubt is out. Once I've made the plans and I know this is the right way to go, we're taking a trip for Christmas. And I've tried 2 or 3 times to make plans, and I just couldn't hit it right. I just couldn't get settled about it. And I kept telling Roanne, I want to go somewhere, I want to do something, but I'm not settled. I want to do this, but I'm not settled. I want to do this, but I'm not settled. I just can't get settled. So I set it all aside. And then one day it just hit me. Drive, don't fly. Oh, okay. So I started looking back at one of the trips I was planning, where we were talking about going. And as soon as I started working on driving the trip instead of flying the trip, everything fell together. And then in the meantime, what's happened is because of the pandemic in the world and the job situation, airlines are canceling flights like crazy all over the country. And in that, they're saying for Christmas, there could be flights canceled. It could be just a real mess. And I said, the Lord knew. Us trying to fly, the Lord knew. it could be a mess. We could possibly run into a mess, or we would run into a mess. And so we decided to drive, and it worked. But I'm saying all of that to say, I've made a decision. Paul said, but I supposed it necessary to send you. He said, I suppose, and it doesn't contain a doubt. He comes to a decision, he arrives at a decision after weighing the facts in the case. And then after weighing those facts, all doubt is put aside. All doubt is cast out. All doubt goes away because I've made a decision, and that's what we have to start doing in our lives. Now, I'm still open to change and adjusting and adapting to situations, but as far as, am I going to do this? Yes. Am I going to do this in my life? Take this job, go this direction, take this trip, pay for this, go this way in my finances, do this to the house, buy this car. When I make decisions, I make decisions. And I get settled in my decision ahead of time because I'm a firm believer in cast out all doubt, get rid of doubt, because doubt will beat you to death. And the devil will use doubt to beat you senseless. Now, if I'm doing something financial and it's not working the best, I don't let doubt come in. I just back out of the situation. I look at the situation, I say, okay, this isn't working like I thought, and I'll back out of the situation. But I look at it and I get wisdom and knowledge and understanding in that situation to make my decisions. And this is what Paul does. He says it contains no doubt. When he supposes something, there's no doubt involved. He said, I need to send Epaphroditus to you. And he arrived at this decision after prayer and thinking about it in wisdom and knowledge and knowing the situation. So how many of us do that? Or we get into situations, we just make a snap decision and then beat ourselves to death with, is that the right thing? Should I have done this? And we get, for lack of a better term, we get wimpy about it. We get wimpy instead of being confident in our decisions. Well, I don't know. I don't really know if I should have done this. I don't, and we begin to second guess ourselves. And that becomes destructive to your confidence and to your faith, because we second guess ourselves and then blame it on the Lord that He didn't come through. And the devil will then start taking that and say, did God really say? God doesn't really speak. If you heard from God, you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have made a mistake. You wouldn't have tried this. You wouldn't have tried that. You wouldn't have this. You wouldn't have that. And the devil is good at that. You ever had that happen? The devil is good at his job. And he's been doing it a long time. So all that to say, Paul supposed, yet I suppose, when we suppose something, we have to get to where we make decisions and we're confident in our decisions. Now, if it's something I don't know a lot about, I have friends I talk to. I talk to my wife. I talk to other people. I get as much information as I can. Things of the gospel. I'll talk to preacher friends of mine. What do you think about this thought? What do you think about doing this? What do you think about going here? What do you think about that? And I'll get their insight. It's not that I don't believe the Lord, that I got to get all these people in, but there are people that I trust. There's safety in a multitude of counselors, and as the Old Testament tells us. And so I have friends that I check with that I trust, and I know if there's something, I've had actually said stuff, this is what I'm going to do, and someone would say, keep this in mind though. Okay, good, perfect. And I keep that in mind while I'm doing it. But I get as much information as I can before making a decision. But once I make the decision, decision's made, and we start moving forward. And we'll have to fight some things, but there's still a forward trajectory, forward momentum, forward motion. And then I'm coming at the devil. So do you make decisions that way? Or do you make them and back right off thinking, I shouldn't have done that. I should have gone the other way. Oh, I wonder if I should have gone this way or that way. I do all that ahead of time. I go through all and I don't doubt, but I go through all the scenarios and all the options ahead of time. That when I finally narrow it down to the decision, the best decision has been made with the information that I have at the time, and with knowing what's going on, I make that decision and move forward. Amen?
Amen.
All right. Yet I suppose it necessary. Paul supposed it indispensable. That's what necessary means. I find it to be indispensable to send to you Epaphroditus. And so he finds it, he made a decision with no doubt that it's an indispensable thing to me. It's necessary that I send Epaphroditus to you. Now, how did Paul describe Epaphroditus? He didn't send just anybody. He didn't find just a guy to fill a hole. And now, okay, you're willing to do this job in the church? Okay, it's yours. And I learned early on when I first got saved, we had one of the preachers in the church that he was one of the assistant pastors. He was a principal of the school and one of the assistant pastors, Bobby. And if he'd come talk to a single people about stuff, and if you were willing to try it, all of a sudden it became your job because you were a person filling a hole, person filling a job. In this case, Paul said it's necessary that I send Epaphroditus to you. He didn't say I find it indispensable that I send you somebody. He said I find it indispensable that I send you Epaphroditus. This guy is the one that needs to go. And Paul described him as this. He said, I send to you Epaphroditus, my brother and companion in labor, fellow soldier, your messenger. And so he said, I'm sending you my brother. Brother is literally from the same womb. Christians are brethren in the same sense that they have the same heavenly Father. He's talking about spiritually. I'm sending you my brother. He's somebody he trusted. And so he said, I know this guy's saved. I know this guy's heart. I know what this guy knows. I taught him. I know what he's going to give to you. We're of the same, we come from the same womb. Spiritually from the same place. They're Christians. We are brothers. We're brethren together, coming from the same heavenly Father. I know this guy. And I know what he's about. I know what he's going to tell you. I know what he's going to do. I know what he's going to say. I know how he's going to act. I've had friends of mine tell me that there are very few people that I will let into my pulpit. You're one of them. We were the same heart. And the one guy I'm thinking of now, he doesn't pastor a church anymore, but he had given me a letter of recommendation once, and he said, I don't open my church up to a lot of people, but Jerry is one that if I was leaving, if I had to be somewhere and I needed somebody to come in and take over, Jerry is one of the very, very, very few people that I would let in. We were brothers, and we are of the same womb, of the same mind. He knew my heart. He knew what I would do and would not do. And so this is how Paul looked at him. Do people look at you that way as a Christian? That they know they can trust you. As a Christian, that's what he's saying. He's my brother. I can trust him. I know without a shadow of a doubt what he's going to do. And I have no problems with letting him go and letting him take care of you, do what I need him to do. That's trust. Do people look at you that way? There's people in my life I look at that way. There's people in my life I don't look at that way. People in the ministry I know, I wouldn't turn my back on them. And it's just the cold, hard reality of life that some people you trust, some you don't. Some have proven themselves untrustworthy. I've seen Christians in the, people in the ministry and people in church that have proven themselves untrustworthy. They turn on you in a second. And so I wouldn't call them brethren because we don't act the same way. Are they not saved? I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't trust them. And I wouldn't put them in that category. So there's different categories of people, the way you look at people. And I know this is coming off kind of harsh, and I don't mean it to be, but I'm telling you, this is how Paul looked at Epaphroditus. He looked at him as a brother, and he was at peace and calm and happy with him. So he said, this is the guy I'm going to send. He was a companion in labor. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I have a note down here. Paul sees him of common origin or common level. No distinction between him and Paul. Paul said, I see no distinction between me and you. I have preachers that are friends with, that I'm close friends with. I see no distinction between me and them. If it came to me preaching or them preaching, I wouldn't care. If we were all in a meeting, I wouldn't care. You were going to get the same thing. You're going to get the same spirit, the same messages, the same commitment to the Lord in the same direction, no matter who preaches. And that's what he's talking about here. He saw no distinction. He was his companion in labor, a fellow worker, as opposed to one working for his own advancement. See, there are people, and I guess I'm talking more, you've got to do this, we do this in ministry. You've got to watch out for people. Are they trying to advance themselves? Or are they trying to advance the gospel? And are they fellow laborers? And you have this in jobs. You have this in every aspect of life. You know there's those people that, oh, brother, I'm with you. And people at work, I'm right here with you. I'm here to help you. And don't turn your back on that person because they're out for themselves. They don't care who they walk on to get to the top. And this was not Epaphroditus. Are you a companion in labor with people, in the ministry, in your home, in your family, in your job, in your life? See, I'm one in life, I want to help everybody. I just have that heart. I want to help people. I can't help everybody, but anybody I come in contact with, I try. I just want, whether it's make them laugh, be happy, make their day brighter, tell them about the Lord, help, tell them something financial, tell them something, wisdom in their life. It wasn't long ago I'd gone to a paint store, and I might have told this story. I went to the paint store, and I had to get some paint for something. I was touching up something in the house, and we were doing something, and I needed paint to match a certain color outside. I remember what it was now. And there was this young black man working there, and he was helping me, and we were having trouble, with the paint and trying to find the right color. And we just started talking, and I told him I was a preacher. Oh, really? He got all excited. He hadn't been saved too long, and he said, my grandmother's saved, and she'd tell me about the Bible, and he started asking me about different things, and he started asking me about relationships. And so I started telling him about relationships, and I went down the line with relationships. And by the time I said, here's the messages, here's where I preach, here's where you can find messages, here's where you can, if you need something, send me a message. And I gave him my number. I said, call me, text me, come on, Good News Center Global. You can find the messages, listen to them. It'll help you. And all I was trying to do was help this young man. I didn't know him from the man in the moon. I'd never met him before, haven't seen him since. I haven't had any need for paint to go back there, so I haven't been back there. But all that to say, I was just there buying paint, and a need came at me, somebody with a need. And I'm not trying to advance myself. I was trying to advance his life, help his life, get him to not make mistakes that the rest of the world is making. And I got serious with him about relationships, before, I actually told him, I said, before you jump into bed with a girl, you need to have a commitment that we're married. I said, that's what marriage is. It's a commitment to one another that I love you and I'm giving my life to you, not just my body to you. And, I'm becoming one with you in your life. And that was a commitment. And this guy got wide-eyed. He was just, Yeah, I've never heard this before. And this is what marriage is supposed to be. This is where this is how relationships are supposed to go. This is what God designed. And it said especially for a Christian. It's for everybody, but Christians absolutely should do this. And throughout the scripture, this is the will of God concerning you, that you abstain from fornication, sex outside of marriage. So I'm telling him all this, and he hadn't, I don't know if he hadn't read that far or didn't know, but it was like brand new news to him. And I was doing all that because I'm not trying to advance my life, my ministry, myself at this kid's expense. I was trying to help this kid. And kid, he was a 20-something, and to me, he was a kid. So I was trying to help this young man move forward in his life. And so with Paul, let me bring it back, a companion in labor, that we work together. And he's a fellow worker. We're on the same line, the same page, doing the same things, have the same mind, the same outlook, the same direction. We have the same focus. And Epaphroditus isn't working for himself. He's working for the gospel. He's working to advance the gospel of Jesus, not the ministry of Epaphroditus. I work to advance the gospel of Jesus Christ, not the ministry of Jerry Dewitt. If that was ever in me, it left a long, 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 long time ago. And so he said, my brother Epaphroditus, my brother, companion in labor, fellow soldier. That's an associate in labors and conflicts for the cause of Christ. He's one that will fight next to Paul. When battles come, when battles come, are you there? Are you that person? I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to pray. You need me to fast, get my flesh out of the way so we can pray for this thing? Let's do it. Let's go down that road. I'm ready to talk to you. I'll help you. I will, counsel you. I'll do whatever necessary. I'll show you in the Bible. I'll pray with you. I'll let you cry on my shoulder. I'll let you vent. I'll let you do whatever is necessary. I called someone this week and I was telling them a story. And I said, it's something I had heard on Facebook, or a preacher preaching something. And I just called a preacher friend of mine and said, here, listen to this. And I put my phone, I was on the phone, and I said, just listen to this. And I put my phone next to the speaker and went through the whole thing. And I said, can you believe this? Can you believe what you're hearing? I said, I can't believe this stuff. This is outrageous what was being preached. I said, it is so incredibly wrong. And I just went on and on and on. And I said, look, I'm just calling to vent because we're fellow soldiers. And he said, I know what you're doing. And he said, yep. He said, it's absolutely wrong what was preached. And he said, I know, you're just venting. And then we caught up and talked a while and laughed and, got off the phone happy. But we're fellow soldiers. And so I know I can call to fight this thing. I didn't want to fight it in my head. And it was a conflict in my head, and I had to get this out. So I called someone I know would agree that, yes, this was wrong. And I'm not getting into the doctrine that I heard, and what I heard, it doesn't matter. It was horribly wrong. And and then I called another friend of mine and said, here's what I just heard. And I had to vent to a couple of people, and then I vented to Roanne, and it upset me that badly, how completely wrong this was. So I go to the fellow soldiers and people that I know I can battle with, that will battle not with me but alongside me. And they're associates in labor and associates in battling and associates in warfare against the devil. And so those are the people that I talk to. Are you that person to other people, that people look at you and say, my brother or sister, my companion in labor, and my fellow soldier? And then lastly, and fellow soldier, but your messenger. Messenger here is one sent, is a sent one. It's the same word used for apostle, which is to send one off as a commission to do something as one's representative, with credentials furnished. They've gotten credentials from God. And in this case, he has credentials from Paul. And so it's a sent one who acts as an ambassador. He said he's your messenger. Here's what he is to me. He is my brother, my companion in labor, my fellow soldier. But to you, he's your apostle. He's your messenger. He's the one sent for you to help you. And so and I'm that way to some people. I'm the one sent to them to help them. And so are you that way? Does this describe you in areas of your life? Because the Lord will put some people in your life that you can help. And they're there for a while and you help them. You're the messenger for that person. You're acting for lack of a better term, in the office of an apostle, because you're trying to establish their life. You're trying to help them establish their life. I've had people come into my life that I've tried to help establish their life. I was an apostle acting in the office of an apostle for them. And then they'd move on, just to another aspect of life, to another, move on in their life. And so Epaphroditus was this. He said, yeah, I suppose it necessary. I have no doubt after weighing this decision, this is indispensable for you. I'm going to send Epaphroditus, my brother, companion in labor, fellow soldier, but your messenger. Are you that way in people's lives? Or are you a taker? That everybody has to give to me. It all comes to me. Everything's pointing in my direction. Everything's about me, making me happy. What do you want to be? Because I want the Lord to be able to use me. I'm saying all that, and I'm putting it out there because there are different types of people. And some people are always taking, and then some people are always giving. And so what type are you? And there should be a give and take. I give to people, and some people give to me. I help people and some people help me. I'm there for people, and I have friends that are there for me. I help my wife. She is always there for me. And so, which kind of person are you? I want us to look at that this morning. Look at yourself and say, examine yourself. What kind of person am I? Am I a brother? Do I live the gospel? Am I a companion in labor? Or am I just looking out for myself? Am I trying to advance my own life, my own ministry? Am I a fellow soldier? I'm here with you when things are good, but when things get tough, you're on your own. That means you're not a fellow soldier. You're somebody, what do they call fair weather friends? Fair weather soldier. When nobody's shooting at me, I'm right there with you. But when they start shooting, you're on your own. And then a messenger. Verse 26. He ministered to my wants. He helped Paul, whatever Paul needed. He was right there. So he was always there to minister to Paul's wants. Verse 26. For he longed after you all and was full of heaviness because you had heard that he had been sick. For he longed after you all. He was constantly yearning. When you want to help somebody, you should have a yearning to help. You should be constantly yearning. If the Lord puts something on you, I have friends that they have a vision for certain countries, and they yearn to go back. When they can't be there, it's almost painful to them that we're ready to go. They're working to go and help. They're working to get Bibles. They're working to get ministry materials ready to go for them, stuff printed in their language. And I'm thinking of one preacher in particular. And he told me last time I talked to him, he said, yep, we're going back to this country in a month. So I think right now they're either going or they're to Zimbabwe. So they're either going or they're about to go. I think it's Zimbabwe. I get some of the African countries mixed up in my head. And so, but I think, they're about to go this week, next week, or, real soon. Last time I talked to him, it's been several weeks. And so he said next month. So yeah, I think it is this month. But they're constantly yearning to go back. And so for Epaphroditus, he longed after you all and was full of heaviness. He means to be sore troubled because they had heard that he had been sick. The Philippians heard that he had been sick. And so this upset him. This upset Epaphroditus. And this is what I wanted to get into just a little bit. For indeed he was sick, nigh unto death. But God had mercy on him, and not on him only, but me also, lest I should have sorrow upon sorrow. For indeed he was sick, nigh unto death, but God had mercy on him. He was sick, and sick here means ill or lack strength. This was thought to be a physical breakdown because of overwork. It's not necessarily a disease. In the Greek, what it's talking about is not necessarily a disease of some sort, but a physical breakdown. He just wore himself out because of overwork. And people do this. And I've had people tell me, well, I just work, and God will take care of me. Or I can do what I want, and the Lord will He'll just take care of me. They throw all rules out. And it's taken me years to learn this. But what I learned was this shows that we must be good stewards of our bodies as they can break down. I've known people that said I can eat whatever I want and it's not going to bother me, and died of heart disease because they ate whatever they wanted and weren't good stewards. I ate whatever I wanted when I was younger, and I got away with it. When I got older, I started putting on weight, and I told my wife one day, I looked down and I had stomach where I used to see feet. And I said, okay, that's when the lights clicked on that I realized I have to take care of myself. This could be a long life, and I don't want to do it in the wrong way. I want to go through life healthy. The Lord has called us to be good stewards, and we cannot work ourselves to death. We cannot eat ourselves to death. We have to take care of ourselves. And what happened to Epaphroditus was he overworked himself. He pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed till his body gave in, till his body broke down or his mind broke down. He had more of a physical breakdown. His body just gave in, and he was nigh unto death. Literally, that means you had death alongside you as a neighbor, just next door. How many of you have ever been nigh unto death? I've been in situations where I could feel death right outside the house. I've been in situations where I felt death in the room, and made a mistake once. I walked into a room and felt death and went at it. Immediately went at it. I didn't stop to say, Lord, what do I do here? What's the thing? But I'm a soldier. I'm a warrior. I felt death and I went at death, and I rebuked death. And the person lived, but the quality of life was not there for, 2 years, 3 years? 3 years. And I learned right there, I'll never do it again. That was a situation that I'll always stop before I do that, because death comes to everybody. And this person was quite old, and the quality of life moving forward, and couldn't, just wouldn't get healed. It just wasn't there. But I rebuked death, and it took 3 years for that person to finally die. And that's one of those things. Sometimes you do stuff you have to live with. That's one of those things I had to live with, but I learned from it. And we have to learn that he was sick, nigh unto death, from overwork. But the Lord had mercy on him. And what that means is to feel sympathy with the misery of another, to have pity upon. And let me read it again. For he longed after you all fullness. For indeed he was sick, nigh unto death, but God had mercy on him, and not on him only, but on me also, lest I should have sorrow upon sorrow. And so he said, I would have been grieved in my mind, had pain or heaviness, grieved, just sorrow, heaviness upon heaviness, because he helped Paul so much. He was so close to Paul that Paul would have had heaviness upon heaviness, sorrow upon sorrow, but the Lord had mercy. So what am I saying here? We shouldn't get to a place where we overwork. We just say, no, the Lord will take care of me. I can do anything, act any way, do anything, eat anything, be as irresponsible as I want. Work until your body breaks down. But God will have mercy on me, to where we get to the point of dying, and we have to rely on the mercy of God. There's a better way. The better way is Stewardship. Wisdom. And let me just throw in here that to get off of this verse, I don't want to stay here for forever pounding on this point, but I've made these mistakes. And so I'm telling you this from my experience, that I've worked myself to where I was sick and worked in the ministry, just traveled and preached and gone and sleeping in the car and going and going and going until I would just drop. And I wasn't nigh unto death, but there's times I wished I was, Lord, if this is it, kill me now. I was just so tired and burnt out from preaching and helping and doing and going and praying for people. I just got burnt out and I wasn't eating right, and I let myself go there. And all my friends have been there. All my friends in the ministry, they've all been there, and we've all learned the hard way. We don't have to. And so he was sick, nigh unto death, but the Lord had mercy on him. For me, the Lord had mercy on me. I was able to take some time off. I came back. The Lord worked it out in my life, but I learned from it. And so some people think in this verse that it shows the apostles lost their miracle power, the instant restoration. I've seen in studying some of this stuff out, some of the stuff I've read said that this is where they believe the apostles lost their miracle power, because Epaphroditus was nigh unto death. He didn't get instantly healed. And so they lost that power. It was waning in their lives. They make a leap that is not there. I think it rather shows the gift of healing. God, restoration over time. God had mercy on him. See, what's it say? God had mercy on him and me also. He had mercy. He healed him, but he healed him over time. He healed him slowly. And so through prayer and the mercy of God, he was healed. And so people take this and say, well, that's where it shows that the gifts aren't for today. See, Paul lost it. It doesn't. That's reading something into it that isn't there. Paul didn't lose it. It was still there. Up until the 28th, I think it was the 28th chapter of Acts, I think that was it, where they went on, they shipwrecked on the island. And what happened on the island? He had revival. Everybody got healed. And it was still there right unto the end of Acts. And so that's just something that people come to because they don't want to believe God heals, or he didn't heal as quickly. He didn't give them an instant miracle. I've prayed for people who got instant miracles. I've prayed for people who got healed. I've prayed for people who didn't get healed. I've prayed for people that have died. They didn't get healed and they died. Does that mean it's gone? No, it doesn't mean that at all. I keep praying. I keep pushing. I keep moving forward. I keep being a brother, companion in labor, fellow soldier, and messenger. Why? Because that's what he called me to. I've made a decision. This is what I'm going to do, and I move forward in that direction. I never stop praying for people because I know God heals. This scripture does not say that healing went away, that miracles went away. To me, it says he got healed instead of getting a miracle. But God had mercy on him. So, with that, let's move forward. I send him therefore the more carefully, that when you see him again, you may rejoice, that I may be less sorrowful. So he said, I send him the more carefully, which means more in haste or with more diligence. I was more diligent. You got to go, and you got to go now. And so that more that when you see him again, you may rejoice. What was Paul worried about? Their state of mind. He wanted them to be glad that they could see Epaphroditus was for us. He was our apostle. He works with us. He loves us. His heart's for us. That's how we ought to be in the ministry, that people can look at you and say, your heart's for me. The people know you want the best for them. And they know that when you come, you're here for them, not to advance your own ministry, not to advance your own agenda, but you're there for them, that your heart is, I want to help you. Some people have a mixed heart. They want to help you and they want to help them at the same time. I always went in and preached, and I just wanted to bless the people. I wanted to give them the best I had. God called me to this, and I wanted to be the best at it. I wanted to give them the best I could do. I didn't want to fall on my face. But I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for the Lord, and I was doing it to help these people. And so my heart was always right. I always made sure of that. And so when I went in, I wanted them to rejoice that I was there, not, oh my God, he's here again, and cry that, oh geez, we got to sit through this again. And I've sat through some preachers where it's like, oh my goodness, again? No, And I actually had the Lord play a joke on me once. I always said this, that we went to a big meeting one time, and there was this preacher that I have real trouble with because he was a money preacher, and I had real trouble with his doctrine. And so we went to this big meeting, and we knew people that knew people in the big ministry. And so we got seats right up front, first row. And who comes out? It wasn't the big preacher. It wasn't it wasn't the one we went to see. This was a guy taking the offering, and we didn't know this was the offering message we were up front for. And guess who walks out? This preacher. And I just put my head down and laughed and said, Lord, no, you're playing a joke on me. But I had to sit through this, and I know later the reason I had to sit through this was to get over myself, was to get over this attitude that I had. I had taken the attitude a bit far in my mind. So the Lord put me in this so I could rejoice. And by the end of it, I was glad. I was rejoicing because I knew the Lord put me there for a reason, to learn something. So all that to say, what's he concerned with? For me to be glad. Now, do I still, I don't have the problems with that preacher that I had. I don't agree with his doctrine whatsoever. But I don't have a problem with him anymore. I had gotten over that this is the Lord's servant too. Do I agree with the doctrine? No. But I'm not going to tell God how to do his job. So I said, he's on the Lord. It's not my responsibility. It's the Lord's responsibility to straighten that situation out. And it got that weight off of me. It got this mindset off of me. So to be glad, what did the Lord want from me? To rejoice. And so I walked away rejoicing that God had worked in me. And so here, Paul sent him carefully with more haste and more diligence, that if you could, so you could see him again, that you would rejoice, and that I may be less sorrowful, which was free from grief. Their joy would mean the removal of a burden from Paul's heart. Verse 29. See how far through this we're going to get. I'm trying to get to the end of the chapter. Receive him therefore in the Lord with all gladness, and hold such in reputation. Receive him, accept him favorably, with all gladness, all joy and delight, and hold him such in reputation. Reputation is to hold one dear or in honor, to highly value, to prize, or to deem precious. There are people that are put in your life. We should hold such in reputation. Virgil was one in my life. I held such in with great esteem. I honored and valued his friendship. I honored and valued his work in my life. And I always laughed because he said, I quit training preachers. I said, I know that, but you had to train me. You had to come out of retirement of training preachers because you had to train me. I was the last one he trained. And he had quit before that. But I said, the Lord told me I was going to travel with you. God worked this out. So I esteemed him very, very highly in my life. I had someone attack him in front of me, to me. And I said, do not ever speak about Virgil Johnson in my presence that way again. I said, I will come at you at that point. I said, he was a man of God. I don't care if you agreed with his message or not. And I wouldn't come at him physically, but I would come at him as a preacher. I would come at him that you are attacking a man of God, and biblically would come at him and start tearing, taking the whole argument apart and do it as, well, I wouldn't even say I'd do it nicely. I would do it as I'm coming at an enemy. And so they came at Virgil, and I said, do not ever do that in my presence again. You don't have to like him. You may not like him. I don't care. But he was a man of God, and you're attacking God's servant, and you're attacking somebody who was a father to me. So I said, you want to do it? You do it privately. You do it on your own, because next time I will defend him. And I was just, because in that case, it was a situation where there was other stuff going on and it wasn't necessary. But after the fact, I said, just enough was said to get my dander up about him. And so I very nicely and calmly said, this will never happen again. And so I hold him in great reputation, in great esteem. I highly valued his friendship, his work in my life, and I deemed it precious. He was very, very precious to me. And so much so that when he died, I was one of the ones that did his funeral and cried all the way through it. I said, if I can get through the first line, I'll be okay. I didn't make it through the first sentence, but he was like a parent dying for me. And so Paul was saying, accept Epaphroditus. And do we have those people that we look at their life, we look at their ministry, and we understand these people are brothers, companions in labor, fellow soldiers and messengers, and we hold them in reputation, we hold them in esteem. There are other men that are in the ministry that I know to this day. Haven't talked to them in a long time, but when I do, I hold them in high reputation, high esteem, because they're the guys I looked up to when I started. They're the guys I looked up to when I just got into the ministry. They helped me. They let me come in and preach in their churches. But I looked at their lives and I listened to them preach, and I was just amazed that, yes, people can do this. And I watched them, and I went forward partially because of them. And those are the guys, when I first started preaching, I said, they were friends. And I said, these guys were saved. They were friends with Virgil. So they become friends with me when I was traveling with them. And so when I started my traveling ministry, they were the first ones that I called. And they let me in, and they accepted me, and they blessed me, and they helped me. And so I esteem them greatly. There are some people we have to look and see, how do I look at preachers? Now, I found in this generation, they don't esteem preachers highly. They don't esteem your position. I'm trying to think of position, experience, knowledge. Because this is an information generation, they think, I know as much as you. But there's more to it than knowing. There has to be experience. I've experienced these things. I've worked on my life. I've fasted. I've prayed. My life has changed. I've been in situations and dealt with people and dealt with the devil and had the devil come at me and, fought my battles and won my battles. But this generation, for a great part, looks at you that I know as much as you do. But they don't. And so Paul said, in such, hold them in reputation. There should be those that came before us that we hold dear, we hold in reputation. I've been doing this, I've been in the ministry 36 years, and there are those people in my life that hold me in reputation. There are those that don't. They think, people that I know that, I know as much as you, and they try and preach to me. I've been saved 6 months, and they're going to preach to me now. And it's like, I listen to it because I understand it's a baby talking. It's a baby Christian talking. And so when they say something's wrong, I said, nope, don't go with that doctrine. That doctrine doesn't mean this. That doctrine's wrong. Here's why. So I'll try and help, try and teach gently. It's like a baby putting his hand on the stove. Don't do that. Don't touch that. Don't go that way. Don't kick the dog. It's not nice. And don't say that. And so we try and help them. But all that to say, there should be people that are above us that have been doing this longer, that are experienced, that we should hold in reputation. Verse 30. Because of the work of Christ, he was nigh unto death, not regarding his life, to supply your lack of service toward me. Because of the work of Christ, because the work of Christ is that which is good in character and constitution and is beneficial in effect. He's doing the work of Christ. He's doing the work of the ministry. He's doing the work of the Lord. And he's done it so much. He's worked so hard. He was nigh unto death, not regarding his life. Again, nigh unto death. literally, death was alongside him as his neighbor. We shouldn't get to that place. He said, not regarding his life, which means he was rash. He acted rashly and recklessly. The word was used of brotherhoods who, at risk of their own life, nursed the sick and buried the dead. They would go in, when there was a plague, the brotherhood of people would act rashly or recklessly. They would go in and, at the expense of their own lives, bury people, nurse people and bury people. And the motive was good, but the way they went about it was rash or reckless. And Epaphroditus had recklessly exposed his life to sickness because he overworked himself. And so, what are we saying here? All that to say, he did this because of the work of Christ. You can work yourself to death. And I said last week, I think it was last week, I said, if the Lord calls me to be martyred for the gospel, that's one thing. But for me to work myself to death, that's another thing altogether. That's not something that should happen. We need to learn wisdom and learn when to stop. Learn when to stop and walk away. Back up, take a breath, take a break. Your mind and your body can only take so much. And as we get older, sometimes it gets a little harder. And so, there are times that we will supernaturally keep going. But there are times too where we have to back up and take stock of, okay, how do I feel? Am I getting sick? Am I wearing myself down? I need to stay healthy to do better work. Make sense? Yep. So, I've got 5 more minutes. I was going to go forward, but I think I'm just going to stop here. So where did we start today? We started in verse 25 where he said, I suppose we have to get to where we come to a place of making decisions and make good decisions. I'm looking at everything. I'm weighing the facts. I'm looking at the case. I'm looking at my options. I'm looking at it from every side, every angle, that I've got to make this decision, but from every different angle. I'm looking at this, and now I'm making a decision. And in that, I'm getting all doubt out of my life. Because when you move forward in the gospel, you need to do it, when you make a decision spiritually, you need to do it with no doubt, that there's no room for doubt. This is the will of God. This is what He wants for me. This is what I'm doing. This is the direction I'm going. Because if the devil can put doubt in your mind, what happens? You're now fighting on 2 fronts. You're fighting the situation that you're in. You're fighting to move forward, as we've said in other places where they move forward as pioneers in the gospel. Those that go forward before the army chopping down the trees. And you've got the work that you're doing. Now if you let doubt in, you're having to fight on your flank from the devil saying, don't do that, that's wrong, that's wrong. Did God really say you don't want to go that direction? What if this doesn't work? What are people going to think? What about this? What about that? What about that? And you're taking part of your attention from the actual work that you're doing and now having to put it on the devil and having a discussion with the devil. Why? Because you haven't made your decision and gotten all doubt out of the way. That's where we start. And when we make decisions, we have to make those decisions like that. So he supposed to send, because it was necessary, he looked at it and said, it's indispensable that Epaphroditus go. And who was Epaphroditus? He was a brother, a companion in labor, a fellow soldier, and a messenger. Those are the people we need to have around us. Those are the people we need to look up to. Those are the people you want in the gospel with you. And that's the kind of person you want to be. A brother from the same womb, the same mind, a fellow worker, not advancing himself, a fellow soldier, one that labors in conflicts with you and battles with you, fights alongside you to help you, the guy that's got your back, that you're back to back in the battle and you don't have to worry. He's got my back. I don't have to look and see if he's still there. And a messenger, one that acts as an apostle in your life, and that you are acting as an apostle in other people's lives. You're there to help them while they're there. This is a character thing. Paul said Epaphroditus had this character, and I have made the decision to send him because I know his character. I don't have to doubt. I don't have to wonder. You know his character. I know his character. So I'm sending him. But he worked himself to almost to death. And that's not a good thing to do. We have to take care of ourselves. Again, going into the character of the person. Some people work themselves to death because they're trying to prove something to God. Some people work themselves because they're trying to prove something to other people. I've got no axe to grind. I've got nothing to prove. I don't care what other people think. I work like I work like I work. When it's time to stop, I stop. When it's time to take a break, I take a break. See, now we're taking a break the next couple of weeks. So it's time to stop. And I get tired. So I know when to back off a bit. That's called wisdom. I learned wisdom. And so he's saying this is what's necessary because I want to keep my life in one of gladness, one of rejoicing. When you get sick, when you're beat down, what happens? Your joy goes out the window. You're not acting as joyful anymore. We get short with people. We get, I don't care about preaching. I don't care about this. I just leave everybody, leave me alone. And that's not where we want to be. We want to look at our character and say, this is my character. I want to make sure I keep it. I'm in the middle of a battle. Let's keep my character. If I'm moving forward, I don't want to work myself to death. I want to stay happy. It says, whoso trusts in the Lord, happy is he. When you lose your joy, what happens? Somewhere along the way, you've lost your trust. And I don't ever want to lose my trust. So make decisions. And let's do the work of Christ, but not to where we're nigh unto death. Let's learn to stop and back away. The Lord's had 2,000 years, over 2,000 years to get the church here. All of creation, all of eternity does not rest on my shoulders. And I don't look at it that way. I'm a cog in a wheel of the gospel. So if I need to take a break and back up and slow down a little bit, take a look at my life, take stock of my life, I can do that. The Lord's not going to knock me down for it. Why? He doesn't want me sick unto death, nigh unto death. So look at your life. Where are you going in your life? Why are you working as hard as you do? Is it for the gospel? Or is it for your ministry? Or is it for what people think? Or because you're being driven? I'm one I like to be led, not driven. I like the Spirit of God to lead me. I'm not one that I want to be driven. I have to go because it all depends on me. No, it doesn't. It all depends on the Spirit of God. And as He leads me, that's what I do. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. All right. Amen. Thank you. I have to make sure everything's working. Thank you for being with us. I appreciate it. Every week I tell you that. I appreciate you being here. Please share the page, like the page, follow us on Facebook. If you don't have Facebook, go to, or you have friends that want to hear the messages, go to YouTube, search Jerry Do It Ministries. Do It is DUEITT. So Jerry Do It Ministries. You can find us on Facebook. Tell them about us. If you have prayer requests or questions or comments, you can send them to us at prayer@goodnewscenter.org, or you can post them on Facebook and we will get them. Please go to our website, jerry.church, and look around. Hopefully got some other pictures. If I can find some other pictures coming later. And so look around. We have a store there for stuff that you can buy, messages you can buy if you'd like them. And if you'd like to give, that's the place to give. If you want to help us in the ministry, help us keep going. We live by faith. We trust the Lord. I don't have a job outside of this. I've just believed God for all these years, and He comes through for us. He takes good care of us and comes through for us. And then we have, stuff that we want to do in the ministry going forward. So I think that's all of it. I'm Pastor Jerry Do It. Thank you for being with us. Like I said, we're going to be off the next couple of weeks. I won't be here, but normally we're here at 11 a.m. Sunday mornings, every Sunday morning, Houston, Texas time. So if you want to be with us live, just see what time that is in your time zone. I think that's everything. Again, thank you for being with us. I'm Pastor Jerry Do It. This is Good News Center Global in Houston, Texas. We appreciate you being here with us, and I hope to see you again next week.